You know what? I think I'm going to admit it. This is embarrassing to admit, but I have to say it. What's up, everybody? It's Henry for Zillennial Nexus. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about how I'm still a virgin at 28 and not ashamed of it. I have never done it, and it's not because I couldn't. It's because of a decision I made after the sex ed unit in high school health class that still echoes to this day. Before we get into that, be sure to give this video a like, make sure to comment your thoughts on all this, and subscribe for daily videos of cultural commentary from a man caught between generations. So yeah, for context, I've been seeing more people online talk about virginity like it's a badge of shame, or worse, something that defines your entire worth. This can go both ways, whether it's women in their 20s maintaining it, there's or men still having it. There's a whole Cleveland Show episode about the double standard between the sexes when it comes to this. But yeah, being or not being one does kind of carry a badge of shame, as demonstrated by the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin, which I did an analysis on. You can check that out. So, what got me here wasn't because I was particularly incompetent or anxious. It was more about I paid close attention in 10th grade health class when we got to the sex ed unit and the teacher went over all the different forms of contraception there were. What stood out to me was the fact that he emphasized none of them were 100% effective and stated that abstinence was the only 100% effective method of preventing STDs or pregnancy. Yeah, kind of shocking for a public high school in Massachusetts, but that's what I remember. And I decided, you know what? I don't think it makes sense to do the deed because there's just way too much risk. Now, like I said, he pointed out that it wasn't 100% effective and that it wasn't fear mongering like that scene from Dodgeball, I think it is, where the gym teacher says, hold on, I'm gonna look it up. I believe he said something along the lines of, if you do the deed, you will die. And then handed out the condoms. Okay, I don't think it was Dodgeball. Okay, I'm gonna have to look up condom distribution movie scene. Yeah, you let me know in the comments down below if you remember what movie that's from. I don't know if I've seen it. But anyway, getting back on topic. Again, health class didn't fear monger about anything. They just showed us the facts of exactly how effective each method was. and clearly stated that abstinence was the only 100% effective method. That, followed by my dislike of social events and my absolute disdain for the involvement of alcohol in such events, mostly with ones I heard about that were held behind parents' backs when I was in high school. As I got older, it was just after I turned 21, they are, I can now go to events that have alcohol. I still don't want to be around that. And then, as I said in my video about why I don't want a girlfriend anymore, there's the fact I'd have to look for a needle in a haystack for a sober woman who also didn't have any of my automatic disqualifiers I mentioned, which, to expand on that briefly, in addition to the food allergy thing, one of the comments brought up a story about how he ditched a date with a woman who turned out to be a vegan. Quite frankly, I can respect that, and I forgot to mention being a vegetarian or a vegan or any other restrictive diet by choice is a disqualifier for me. The only real difference between the food allergy thing and the restrictive diet is that food allergies can't exactly be controlled the same way that a restrictive diet can. For example, a vegan can start eating meat if they wanted to. Now, there's probably an argument about deeply held beliefs and all that. Yeah, that's probably there, but ultimately, outside of food allergies where it is medically necessary to avoid the thing you're allergic to, as I have had to do with shellfish, restrictive diets like that are not something I want to deal with. I'm just going to leave it at that. But getting back to the main idea of the video, I am still a virgin at 28. Not out of fear of failure, but because of a choice I made on my own terms. I don't think we talk enough about what it means to own that kind of decision. And it's also why I don't like it when people call me an incel. It's happened on a couple of occasions. Here's the thing. I recognize that it is a consequence of my choices. I chose not to date in high school because I didn't want to have to deal with any of the other things, and frankly, I just wanted to go home and play video games as soon as possible. In college, I had that crush on that crush I mentioned who ended up rejecting me after I worked up the nerve to ask her out for over a year. And quite frankly, the more I think about it, the more I realize all of that was a complete waste of time. Just working up the nerve to ask her out. You know what? I think I'm going to admit it. This is embarrassing to admit, but I have to say it. I partially chose the TV concentration in the hopes that I would be able to ask her out then. In addition to the fact that I had prior experience, and I guess my brain was kind of hardwired for doing it at this point, if the Tim Pool theory is correct. So yeah, that's definitely not so. Definitely, you should not go for a college major or concentration just because you have a crush on someone who's doing that. In my case, I can safely say it was still something that I was willing to do and that I clearly know how to do because of what I'm doing right now, but also not a healthy way to live your life. And honestly, after the last 6 years of experimenting with dating apps on and off, seeing all the profiles I had to swipe left on recently because as soon as I saw alcohol or any indication that she drinks, smokes, or does drugs, April 20th or otherwise, bye. Yeah, I can accept that I'm not romantically viable, mostly because I don't think drinking, smoking, or doing drugs makes you romantically viable in my eyes. Honestly, I would very much prefer to just do my own thing, and I am not going to compromise on my standards under any circumstances. So I guess you could also say that I'm too firm on my standards, which, yeah, is definitely part of it. The difference is I would much rather hold to what I know to be right and true instead of trying to compromise with really any of the things I mentioned in my video about why I don't want a girlfriend anymore. But again, it all goes back to 10th grade health class being presented with the facts, not alternative facts, not fear mongering, just a focus on the facts of how effective each specific method of contraception was, with abstinence being pointed out as the 100% effective method, the one and only one. Because hell, even vasectomies are only 99.85% effective at most. Back then, I was willing to take nothing less than 100% for effectiveness. And today, well, I'm willing to accept that 0.15% risk from a vasectomy. Yes, I'm just going to say it. Because I've talked about how I do not want to have kids. I do not want to be responsible for anyone's children. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, most media, like the 40-year-old virgin, virginity is either a joke or a tragedy, especially for men. There's almost no version where it's just a valid, intentional path, unless you like go into the priesthood or something. That's different. Even though I think it's a little hypocritical of the Catholic Church on the grounds that they literally say to be free, be fruitful and multiply, yet they don't let their own people do that. I don't know, just kind of a weird double standard. Yeah, and then in media like podcasts and such, You've got the likes of Myron Gaines being like, you need to do it with at least 50 women before you can call yourself a man or something along those lines. I don't know. I don't really watch Fresh and Fit. I just happen to know that bit. Now, the pushback is going to be, I'm pretty sure there's going to be someone in the comments like the one who told me to, uh, what did he say? This guy claims that he can, quote, help me with everything, not just dating, but mostly getting on an upward spiral. Reply to me. Seriously, I have been where you are now. Now, I don't know if it's showing up on the comments section when you go to the video outside of my thing. I'm showing you this because I want to emphasize that I am all right. I am not missing out. I am not repressed. I'm not even scared. Because I've had potential chances if I were willing to put in the effort. I've never dated beyond 2 dates with Mississippi. The only other woman I've ever asked out, you can watch my previous videos about that if you want to know more. But at the end of the day, I've realized I have too many disqualifiers and would only consider giving it up after I get a vasectomy to reduce the odds of an unwanted pregnancy to a 0.15% chance. In the event something reconnects. That's what the 0.15% is for. Like I said, no, I scrapped that video, I think, but my statistics teacher in college always said most things, most statistics only go up to 95%. There is no 100% in statistics. Well, except for abstinence's ability to prevent unwanted pregnancies and STDs being 100% effective at that. But that's only because it's not, it's operating on the assumption the act doesn't even happen in the first place. Whereas, as soon as you introduce doing the deed, there is always going to be some possibility that you are going to have STDs or unwanted pregnancies. Honestly, I don't feel lesser for still being a virgin at 28. If anything, I feel like I've protected my peace very effectively. Because it's not purity, it's not weakness, it's just a choice. And not one I'm wanting to fix, like Andy's friends tried having Andy do in the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin, which did turn out pretty good for him because he eventually lost his virginity. Spoiler alert for a movie that came out 20 years ago now. The whole thing is about him learning to that it's more than just the deed with romantic relationships, which I think everyone could use a reminder of that. It's a decision that I would say that I am proud to live with, or it's more that I simply accept that it's a long term consequence of my decisions and a recurring consequence of my decision not to compromise on my standards when it comes to what I'm willing to deal with. So, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. You let me know in the comments down below what you think of all this. If you want to call me a incel. I'm gonna just say right now, I renounce that label because everything I has the fact that am a 28-year-old virgin has nothing to do with things beyond my control. It's literally a consequence of my choices that I accept. If you want to call me a loser of some kind, go ahead. It's just going to reinforce my point that everyone makes everything about sex. Just like the 40-year-old virgin proved. God, that is a great movie. I want to watch it again right now. But yeah, don't forget to give this video a like. Subscribe for daily videos of cultural commentary from a man caught between generations. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.